Okay, my topic this morning is the goal of biblical education. What is the reason for this topic? Before I studied theology, I was studying education. So education was my first degree. And when I was studying education, in the same time, I started to read the Bible. And when I started to read the Bible, I always try to find some connection between Bible and education. And this morning, I would like to show you what I have found about this topic. What I was what I was studying in Serbia, name of that program was pedagogy. I'm not sure about stress. Is it pedagogy or pedagogy? Why I want to say something about that. Pedagogy is the word which we can find in the Bible. Greek word pedagogos, from the Greek word pedagogos, we have a word pedagogy. Pedagogos was a man among the Greeks and the Romans, and that name was applied to trustworthy slaves who were charged with the duty of supervising the life and morals of boys. Good? And what is interesting for me, when I found that you can find the same word in the Bible. Therefore, the law was our pedagogos, to bring us to Christ, that we might be justified by faith. But after faith come, we are no longer under pedagogos. So I had a privilege to study pedagogy and at the same time to think about pedagogos. What is education? I would like to give you some definitions from the book, and we will then make some connection between that and Bible. So this is definition from the books. Education is a set of intentional influences that are performed on an individual in order to develop, form, and self-form his personality. Do we understand that? What is education? Education is all about development, forming our personalities. We have a maybe much better definition of that in writings of Ellen White. And she was it was very interesting to read her definition. And she explained that education is not about studying some program. Education is not about just to pass some exams and to have certificate or degree. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. What is a true education? It is harmonious development of the physical, the mental, and spiritual powers. So if you compare modern definitions of education with Ellen White, you will see that Ellen White has a very good understanding what education really is. What is the goal of education? Now I am speaking about pedagogy, okay? The goal of education is a general picture or ideal of a man who should be formed in the process of education. A man with a certain abilities and traits which are formed in the process of education. So what we have here? What is the goal of education? We have one picture, we have one ideal of a man, and now we are going to do, in the process of education, we are going to try to form that kind of personality. Do you understand me? Good. In different times, in different periods in history, in different places, you have a different picture. You have a different ideal of a man. And I will give you here some examples. In Sparta, in Athens, so another philosopher, John Locke. And you can see here what was their goal, what was their picture of an ideal of a man. And for example, if you read that last one, the main, you have one philosopher, his name was Kerstensteiner. He was not Australian, but when I read his definition, it looks like Australian people. Hardworking, disciplined, and useful citizen. Am I right? You're right. Especially now. Okay, next one. So here I'm thinking about when I was a boy, and in that time, in my country, it was former Yugoslavia, it was a time of communism or socialism. And when you start to go to the primary school, in year one, you have to become something which we called in that time pioneer. People from former Yugoslavia, they know what I'm talking about. Who was pioneer? Everybody, yeah. Pioneer was to grow into a new socialist man, and therefore he was to be. And then you have a word pioneer, okay? And every first letter stands for one characteristics, okay? So if you want to be, in that time, if you are pioneer, you have to be honest, sincere, loyal, progressive, persistent, hardworking, okay? That was a picture in that time. That was pedagogical ideal of a man. One day, when you grow up, you have to be a good socialist man. Is that right? Okay? You understand? Good. And this is a picture of kids, pioneer kids, okay? And we had the uniforms, and you see in the picture what was our uniform. And we were very proud of that. Okay, now, what is the goal of biblical education? This is our question, this is our topic. What is the goal of biblical education? Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. And have put on new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. This is the biblical picture of ideal man. This is the Bible pedagogy. And we have now, I will read from the book of Ellen White, Education. Higher than the highest human thought can reach is God's ideal for his children. Godliness, godlikeness is the goal to be reached. What is the goal of biblical education? Godliness and godlikeness is the goal to be reached. Nothing less than that. So now if you compare pedagogy and with the Bible and writings of Ellen White, what we can see, you have a pedagogical ideal of a man, and now you have biblical ideal. What is biblical ideal? Perfect man, measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, new man, the image of him that created him, godliness, godlikeness. This is the picture of the man. This is our ideal from the Bible. When Adam and Eve came from the Creator's hand, they bore in their physical, mental, and spiritual natures a likeness to their Maker. God created humankind in His image, and it was His purpose that the longer man and woman lived, the more fully they should reveal this image. So what's happened when our parents, first parents, when they separated from the God, what's happened? What's happened with their physical powers? What's happened with their mental abilities? And what's happened with their spiritual vision? And now this is our situation. Good? This is our situation now. But my question was, and question is, did God change His mind about us? By infinite love and mercy, a life of probation was granted. What is our life? Our life is a time of probation. For what? For what? What is the reason for that probation? God wants to see what we are going to do with our lives. Are we going to reach the goal or not? To restore in man and woman the image of their Maker, to bring them back to the perfection in which they were created. This was to be the work of redemption. This is the object of education, the great object of our lives. Do you follow this? So, what is the goal of education, biblical education? To go back to perfection. Okay? The plan of salvation, the return of man to original condition, is God's work. Man cannot save himself. I believe that we all agree with that. That we cannot save. If we can save ourselves, we don't need Jesus. Jesus didn't have a need to come and to die on the cross if we can save ourselves. A new heart also will I give to you, a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Amen. We can see in this text, God said, I will give, I will put, I will take away, I will cause. Who does it? It is God's work in us. So, the plan of salvation is God's work. Question: what is the contribution of man in that plan of salvation? If God did everything for us, what is our contribution? Do we just have to sit down and to watch what's happened? Or we have something to do? This is my question, okay? I think it's a very important question. This is a quotation of Ellen White. The work of gaining salvation is one of co-partnership, a joint operation. There is to be cooperation between God and the repentant sinner. This is necessary for the formation of right principles in the... Do we have to do something in the plan of redemption or not? Man is to make earnest efforts to overcome that which hinders him from attaining to perfection. But he is wholly dependent upon God for success. Human effort of itself is not sufficient. Without the aid of divine power, it avails nothing. Can we understand this? God works and man works. We are not just passive beings. I'm not sure that I say right that, but I think that you understand what I want to say. We are not just passive beings. Resistance of temptation must come from man, who must draw his power from God. What is impossible for human wisdom will do the wisdom of God. When? When the will, mind, and soul and strength of the whole being submits to God. So, question, what is our part in the plan of redemption? Submission. Okay? Our first step is to submit our will to God. Okay? So, my next question was, what is the will? If submission of the will is the first step, what we have to do in that plan of redemption, my next question was, what is the will? The will is the governing power in the nature of man. What is the will? Governing power in our nature. You cannot control your impulses, your emotions, as you may desire. But you can control what? The will. And you can make an entire change in your life. When in our life we are going to see some changes. When we learn how to control our will. Is that understandable? Now, if we read modern psychology, we will see that psychology has a different definitions about the will. I will just read some of them. What is the will? Will is a driving force. Will is the carrier of the internal energies of man. Will is ability to choose, ability to make decision, and ability to select goals as well as to achieving them. Can you now make a connection between goal of biblical education and the will? What is our topic? Our topic is goal of the biblical education. What is the will? Will is ability to select goals as well as achieving them. Achieving, sorry, I always make a mistake when I say that word. Achieving. Listen to this. For me, this was very great revelation. Strength of the character consists of two things. What is the character? Two things. Power of will and power of self-control. Someone who has a strong character, he has a strong will and self-control. Can you see this picture? Okay. I don't know how people call it. Maybe here it's barbecue, or we call this cevapi, cevapčići. And if you go to visit Serbia, you have to try cevapčići. I'm on vegan diet in the last 30 years. But when I go somewhere and smells cevapi, I can't say that it smells bad. Even I am vegan, okay? So, but my question is, if I know that if you put something on barbecue, some meat on barbecue, and if you eat that, what's happened with your body? I was reading somewhere that if you eat 1 kilo of barbecue, it is the same as you smoke, I don't know, 100, 200 cigarettes. Okay? If I know that barbecue is not good for my health, and if I still eat cevapi, barbecue, do I have strong will? Do I have a power of self-control? So what is the conclusion? My character is not strong, okay? So, okay, maybe you don't like barbecue, but what we have to say about cakes? In Serbia, we call these cakes, we call them torta, okay? This is the name of all cakes, torta. And this one has a very interesting name. It's reforma torta, or in English, reform cake. Like health reform, you understand that. But I don't want to say that it is not sweet. I don't want to say that it not smells good. I don't want to say that it is not taste good. But if I know then in that cake we have 12 eggs and 50 grams of sugar. Sorry? 500, sorry, what did I say? And we have 250 grams of margarine. Are you going to eat this or not? Okay. I am talking about self-control, power of self-control, and power of the will. Okay? So, now one experiment. In one aquarium, one group of scientists put different kinds of fish. And they put a fish, that fish usually live in their natural environment, and they put there big fish and small fish. And in natural environment, that big fish usually eat the small fish. Okay? So in one moment, what they did, they put one barrier of the glass between small fish and big fish. And what's happened? Because big fish are hungry, they want to eat something, they try to catch small fish, but what's happened? Every time when they try to catch small fish, they bump in the wall, in the glass. Okay? Next time, again, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And after 3 days, scientists decided to remove the barrier. Do you know what's happened? Yeah. Big fish, which is normally eat small fish, they became vegans. They didn't eat fish anymore. When I was reading about that experiment, my question was, if fish can change their habits, can we do that? Okay. So next example. When you want to drink the water, when you are thirsty, what are you doing? Usually, what are you doing when you are thirsty? You just go and drink water. Why? But if you read psychological books, you will find that they try to explain the process, how we take that water and drink. Okay? What's happened first? First, we have information which comes from our senses. And our senses tell us, I'm thirsty. Next, what's happened next? Our feelings, we have reactions in our feelings. I feel uncomfortable. I need something, okay? Then next step is our mind. How to satisfy the need? Take a glass and drink. After that, what's happened? After that is coming our will. Go, take a glass, pour water, and drink. Can you see what is our will doing? Where is the place of our will? After that, our body takes the glass, put the water, and then drink. When you and I, when we are thirsty, are we doing all that in our minds? Do we think about that? No. Why? Because it is our habit. We do that naturally. Okay? Now, more about modern psychology. If you want to use your will, what you have to do? What is an action moved by our will? Modern psychology. First, awareness of the goal to be achieved. Second, we need the knowledge about the possibility of achieving that goal. We have to accept that goal as our goal. And then we have to attempt to achieve that goal. And after that, we have to perform an action or to work about it. This is the modern psychology. Okay? If we want to do something, we need to know what is our goal. What is our topic? Just to see, are you with me or not? Are you sleeping? What is our topic this morning? Very good. The goal of the biblical education. If you want to be moved by your will, what is the first step? You need to know what is your goal. Okay? If you don't know what is your goal, what is going to happen? When will we achieve that goal? If we are aware of what our goal is, if we are convinced that the goal is possible to achieve, if we want to achieve a goal, if we work to achieve that goal. This is the process in modern psychology. So listen to Ellen White, and we will finish with a few quotations from Ellen White. Let no one say, I cannot remedy my defects of character. If you come to this decision, you will certainly fail of obtaining everlasting life. The impossibility lays in your own when? In your will. Very interesting. Ellen White, before modern psychology, she knew what is the power of the will. If you will not, then you cannot overcome. The real difficulty arises from the corruption of unsanctified heart and unwillingness to submit to the control of God. This is our real problem. We don't want to submit our will to our Savior. Many whom God has qualified to do excellent work accomplish very little because they attempt little. Thousands pass through life as if they had no definite object for which to live, no standards to reach. Such will obtain a reward proportionate to their work. Remember that you will never reach a higher standard than yourself set. Can you see that it is according to modern psychology completely? Christ has given us no assurance that to attain perfection of character is an easy matter. A noble, all-round character is not inherited. It does not come to us by accident. A noble character is earned by individual effort through the merits and grace of Christ. Amen. God gives us talents, the powers of the mind. We form the character. Did you remember? God's work and man works. It is formed by hard, stern battles with self. Conflict after conflict must be waged against hereditary tendencies. We shall have to criticize ourselves closely and allow not one unfavorable trait to remain uncorrected. Okay, to summarize Ellen White, the goal is not easy to achieve. The goal is not achieved accidentally. Don't say it is impossible. Why? If you say that it is impossible, you will never achieve. It is impossible because of my will. If I don't want, I will not be able. I cannot achieve a greater goal than the one I set. What is the goal of the biblical education? Every education has a goal. The goal of biblical education is godliness, godlikeness, image of God, new man, perfect man. Will is ability to select goals and to achieve them. What is the first step in our lives? The first step I need to take is to submit my will to God's will. Submit yourself, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Amen.